Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Shannon, and today we are going to be going over all of the books that I read this past March. Now, if you saw a couple of my previous videos, you would know that in the beginning of this month, I didn't read at all, probably for the first half of this month. However, I have recently come out of that reading slump I was in, and I came back with a vengeance. And let me count how many books I ended up reading. I ended up reading 14 books this month, which is definitely more than my norm. I'm so happy with everything that I read, so we're just gonna get started. The first book I read this month was Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy. This is a love triangle where Abby ends up going to the UK for a semester abroad, and upon arriving at her flat, she ends up learning that her 3 flatmates are all guys, and one of them happens to be a very cute Australian rugby player. And then when they're going out at a bar all together, she runs into a very attractive bassist who happens to be in a relationship, and that is what made this book a slow start for me, because I was worried it was going to be a cheating trope. It wasn't, but I did enjoy it. I think I would rate it like 3.5, 4 stars. Then I read Praise by Sarah Kate. I think I rated it 3.5 stars. It is an ex's dad romance and a workplace romance. So she is going to get a check from her ex's dad because he was sent the deposit after they left their previous apartment. And when she arrives at this man's house, he thinks that she is the newest sub that has been sent for him. I'm not gonna go into all the details of it, but this is a very, very spicy book, and the whole club thing was actually really interesting, and it was just interesting to learn about that kind of stuff throughout this book. But I did enjoy the romance. I would rate it 3.5 stars. Then I read the entire 50 Shades of Grey series. I have spoken about this before. I watched the movies. I don't really care about all the spice and that kind of stuff. The actual plot of this series is very, very interesting. So it's obviously about Anna and Christian, but it goes so much deeper than that. He likes to form dominant, submissive relationships with women, and that's the only kind of romantic relationship he will have with anyone. And it goes into how his childhood was and the trauma he experienced. And then there's someone that kind of wants revenge on his family, and it's just a very interesting plot. But I did say in the reading vlog where I read these, I skipped all the spice in these because I just really couldn't care less. So I don't feel like I can accurately give it a rating. So I ended up rating it 3 stars just because while I do enjoy the plot a lot, I literally skipped all the spice in these books. But I did enjoy it. Then I flipped back and forth between the audiobook and reading the physical book of this, and it is What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. This is a very cute YA romance. It's about Lily and Tag, and they dated for most of their high school experience, and they ended up breaking up just because of some things that were going on. And their senior year is almost closing, and the senior prank hasn't been done yet, and she ends up getting a letter from the jester, who is the person that creates their senior prank every year, and it is a succession thing. And she ends up going in on this to help with the senior prank because she's kind of been known as a goody two-shoes. And it's a second chance romance. It's really good, really cute, very nostalgia vibes for me, but I really enjoyed it, and I would rate it 3.5 stars. Then This was such a heavily anticipated release for me. I read Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. It is a one-night stand workplace romance. I adored this. I just absolutely loved it. Ada and Wes are working to renovate this guest house on the ranch, and I just love this story so much, and I absolutely adore Wes. He is such a softie, such a sweetheart, and I always love guys that are like that. Just the sweet, soft guy. It always works for me, and I rated this 4.5 stars. Not quite as much as I loved Done and Dusted, but still really good. Then I listened to Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. This was a YA kind of romance, kind of just literary fiction. I really enjoyed this. This book is about Addie, and she is visiting Ireland for her aunt's wedding, and after the wedding she plans on going to Italy to visit her best friend, but her and her brother have been having this massive argument and their plan gets kind of derailed, and all the while this argument is going on between the two of them, and this actually really hit home for me because I went through a very similar situation to what Addie experienced in high school, and I just enjoyed this book so much. And just seeing her like get over this breakup with the guy she thought she could trust and like all this stuff, I really enjoyed it. I rated it 3.5 stars, and yeah, it was a very cute little book. Then I switched between listening to the audiobook and reading the Kindle Unlimited version of Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is my first Lauren Asher book. I really enjoyed it. This is a F1 interconnected standalone romance series, and I ate it up. It is about Noah and Maya, and Maya's big brother was just brought into this specific F1 racing team where the other racer for this team is her brother's enemy, and it's an incredible romance. I absolutely love it, and it was very interesting to see the F1 side of things just because I don't really know anything about that world, and I absolutely adored the brother's enemy trope. I thought that was an interesting play on like brother's best friend as well. Next, this was kind of a curveball for me. I was definitely not expecting to read this book this month. I am so happy I did though. This is a 6-star book for me. I do not say that very often. I have probably 5 books that I would say are 6-star books for me, and this has now been added to the ranks, and it is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Oh my god, I adored this book. I have been obsessed with this story for so long. I've just been very intimidated by the language barrier between Old English and current, but oh my lord, I adored every single part about this. I ate it up. This book was so slow for me to read. Like, I was reading like 20 pages an hour. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was the language barrier. The font was also really small, but I read it so slow, and yet I still read it in 2 days. Oh my gosh, I have nothing but the best things to say about this book. If you aren't aware what the plot of this book is, it is about the Bennet family, mainly about 2 sisters. It is about Elizabeth and Jane is starting to fall in love with the new guy that has moved into their town. Meanwhile, his best friend and Elizabeth get off onto an incredibly rough foot. And there are, oh my gosh, just the way that this is written, there are so many double meanings, there's so much foreshadowing. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on about this. I think this is the epitome of what a romance book should be. Perfect. Oh my gosh. Perfect. Next, I switched between the audiobook and the physical form of Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I legitimately loved this. I rated it 4.5 stars. It is about Elsie and Jack, and they are both physicists. Jack is an experimental I can't even say it. Jack is an experimental physicist and Elsie is a theoretical physicist. And Jack is kind of known for basically making fun of theoretical physicists, and Elsie has had it out for him since day one. But she has also been fake dating his brother, and it gets very, very interesting, very complex. And this was probably my favorite part of the whole book. Elsie is really good at reading people and giving them what they want. So a lot of the time she like has a mask on and she changes her personality to fit who she's speaking with. And Jack constantly calls her out on her bullshit and is like, why do you do that? Like, that's not who you are. I just absolutely adored the way that he taught her to be herself and like ask for what she wanted, not just being accommodating and a people pleaser to everyone. I just absolutely adored that, especially because I'm a people pleaser. And I really enjoyed this book. 4.5 stars. Next, I listened / read both Scarlet and Cress by Marissa Meyer. These are the second and third books in the Lunar Chronicles series. This one is a Red Riding Hood retelling, and then this one is a Rapunzel retelling. But as I have said before, this is not an interconnected standalone series. You need to read them together. All the plots get woven together. It's very, very good, very interesting, and I will hopefully probably finish this series this upcoming month. Next, after reading Swift and Saddled, it just had me itching to get back into this world and reread Done and Dusted. So that's exactly what I did. I reread Done and Dusted. I loved it just as much as the first time I read it. I love the way that Luke is just instantly obsessed with her. I love it. I love when the guy is obsessed with the girl. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It is always amazing. And just seeing him help her overcome her riding anxiety since her fall, it's just so good. So good. 5 stars again. I loved this book. Also, if you don't know what the premise of this book is, Emmy has recently come back into her small town after having a horse incident where she's thrown off. She has a bunch of anxiety about racing, which kind of sucks because she is a barrel racer professionally. And she ends up going into the bar at her small town, and Luke is instantly besotted with her, obsessed, can't get enough of her. And he also happens to be her brother's best friend. And when they were growing up, they constantly had like bickering matches and kind of an enemies relationship, but it was just so cute to see their relationship grow in this book. It's so good. Those are all the books I finished. I would like to give an honorable mentions to Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I am currently in the middle of that. I don't think I'm going to finish it today, but I just wanted to throw it out there as something that I'm reading. I am enjoying it. It is a brother's best friend kind of secret letter romance. Like, they've been texting each other not knowing it's each other, and it's just very good so far. Anywho, those are all of the books I read this month. I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All my social media is linked down below for you guys. Make sure you turn on the post notification bell so you guys can get notified right when I post a new video. I hope you all are having an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!